Welcome back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be on this Saturday. Where earlier the Sacramento Kings, in embarrassing showing down in the world of Disney as they lose to the Orlando Magic to open up this 6-game road trip by a final score of 121 to 91. And the Orlando Magic, they outplayed the Kings for all 48 minutes of this game. And the Kings, they never held a single lead in this contest, while the Orlando Magic maintained their comfortable 20, 30 point leads that they had throughout this ball game. And the Orlando Magic, they are one of the worst teams in the league shooting threes and 3-point percentage, where they come in 30th in the league. The Kings allowed an Orlando team, to shoot 18 of 39 from three. That's 46%. In the matchup earlier this season here in Sacramento, the Orlando Magic shot 16 threes. That's how many they made earlier this season in Sacramento. Also, the Orlando Magic, they had more assists, more rebounds, and more steals than the Kings. Like, they outclassed Sacramento basically in every facet of this game. The Kings, they look slow from the tip. They look lethargic, and they looked like uninterested. Like, they didn't want to be there. Never showing any sense of a fight in this game. So that's pretty much the game, if you're looking at it from a Sacramento perspective. Like, at the end of the first quarter, the Orlando Magic had a 38-21 lead after the first quarter. Sabonis, 11 points, 6 rebounds after the first. DeRozan had 6 points, but it was just a rough start from the get-go in this game after one. At halftime, the Orlando Magic extended the lead. It was 61-46. After halftime, the Kings had 11 turnovers. In that first half, they did not take care of the ball once in this game. At the half, the Kings were outscored 24-3 from 3-point range. Just shows you the way Orlando was shooting the basketball. So that was the halftime. Like, the Kings were losing. Like, they lost this game on the possessions. Like, at the half, 11 turnovers for Sacramento. Orlando had 5 at halftime. And only 3 offensive rebounds by Sacramento to Orlando's 9 in this game. Just absolutely unacceptable, and an embarrassing showing to kick off this 6-game road trip. The Kings in this game, 17 assists in this game. Just 17 17. And they had 16 turnovers to go with it. And also sum it up, the Orlando Magic's bench, that second unit of Orlando, completely outshined Sacramento in this game. 53 to 37 in the bench points in this game by Sacramento. But like Sabonis was really the only Kings player in this game who really came out swinging. Early in this one, he hit the glass. He scored 9 of the Kings, I believe it was first 10 or 11 points to start this game. But late in this game, Sabonis really slowed down. He finished with a double-double, 14 points, 13 rebounds. He had 4 of those assists that the Kings only had 17. Not a lot of ball movement, like not a lot of nothing from this Kings team. And with the Kings falling behind early, you had DeRozan who went into score mode for Sacramento, and he worked to get to his spots, and give credit to Orlando. I believe they're second in the league in defensive rating. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I think a lot of the turnovers the Kings had and a lot of the issues the Kings had offensively had to do with that Orlando defense. Like, chop it up with the Kings' last game against Portland. But you're facing a different class in this game against Orlando, second in the league in defensive rating. And they're one of the best teams defensively. But DeRozan, he scored 18 of his 21 points in that first half. He added 1 assist as well. He also had 4 rebounds in this game. And the story of this game was the 3-point shooting. The Orlando Magic, as I said earlier, are 30th in the league in 3-point percentage. That's last in the NBA at 31% for Orlando. But against the Kings, they looked like the defending champion Boston Celtics in both these meetings, in the meeting in Sacramento and in this game here on this Saturday down in Orlando. The Orlando Magic, 18 of 39 from deep. They outscored the Kings 54 to 21 from beyond the arc. And if you want to keep score, if you're looking at the Kings from beyond the arc, just looking here at the box score, they were 7 of 28 from beyond the arc. Just 7 made threes by the Sacramento Kings in this game. And in a league where you win, if you win or die by the three, if you don't hit your threes, it is going to be a very hard time winning in this league if you're not hitting your three. So Malik Monk wasn't the only player in this game to struggle with turnovers. Zach LaVine, he gave up the ball 5 times, and he looked nothing like that player we saw just in the last game against the Portland Trailblazers. But also give credit where credit's due to that Orlando Magic defense, who really honed in on Zach LaVine in this game. Zach, he had 29 points in that Portland game just the other night. He finished 3 of 8 shooting. He only had 10 points in this game. And if you want to look turnover wise, so you had Zach LaVine with 5 turnovers. DeRozan turned the ball over in this game. You had Trey Lyles who turned the ball over. Malik Monk, 6 turnovers in this game. Not a great game by Malik Monk in this game at all. Keegan Murray, who has really found himself here as of late. Not quite the Keegan Murray we've seen in recent games. Both him and Keon Ellis started the game, and neither one of them was able to stand out at all in this game. Murray, just 9 points in this game. 3 blocks on the defensive end. If you're looking at Keegan, Keon Ellis was scoreless in this game, but he was in foul trouble for a lot of this game. 4 fouls by Keon Ellis. So this was a, you've heard of team wins before, but this tonight on this Saturday in Orlando, this was a absolute team loss by the Sacramento Kings. No pun intended. Like, this was a team loss for the Kings. Like, if you just look at Orlando, we talk about Orlando from 3 in this game. From the field, Orlando nearly 50% from the field. If you want to look at a bright spot for Sacramento, 80% from the free throw line. Orlando, just 62% from the free throw line, the charity strike. So, but Orlando outplayed you in every aspect of this basketball game. In the last meeting here in Sacramento, Franz Wagner had 31 points in Sacramento. Tonight, you held him just 10 points lower. He had 21 points in this game. You have Banchero, who was great tonight. 24 points for Banchero in this game. Wendell Carter Jr., 12 points. But shout out Caleb Houston. Off that, part of that Orlando second unit. Off the bench, 18 points. 6 of 7 from 3 for Caleb Houston. Like, shout out. Like, that's a Magic player who, before this game, never heard of Caleb Houston before this game. But he dropped 18 points off that bench, part of that second unit that really thrived for Orlando in this game. Just absolutely incredible. I want to give another shout out to Pataze, who was also huge for Orlando off their bench. Double-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists for Pataze off the Orlando bench. Also, a mini shout out, Anthony Black, 8 points, 4 rebounds for Anthony Black as well off that Orlando bench. But this is a game. You're starting off the road trip in disappointing fashion where if you're the Kings, you're coming off a 7-game homestand where you kind of disappointing at 3-4, and to start this road trip the way you did today, disappointing. Like, you're now, the Sacramento Kings are now 36-38, and with the Dallas Mavericks win tonight, the Sacramento Kings are now 10th in the Western Conference play-in. And you are just looking at the standings, you're a game up, just a game up on the Phoenix Suns, who are just on the outside of the play-in as we speak. And you go, and for the Kings, you got the Indiana Pacers on Monday, and that's an Indiana team that lost tonight in Oklahoma City, and that's a Pacers team that's been playing some pretty good basketball here as of late. And then you got a couple games on this trip that you should win in Washington and in Charlotte. And then you finish this road trip with a back-to-back in Cleveland and in Detroit. So, like, if you're 0-1 right now, like, can you win 3 games on this road trip? Like, the way the Kings lost this game, like, they could come out Monday and beat the Indiana Pacers. I wouldn't be surprised, because I don't know who this Kings team is. Like, but it's disappointing that the Kings come out the way they did tonight against Orlando. And again, in every game, the Kings need to get. Because if you want to stay in this play-in and fight to somehow get into the playoffs, you can't be dropping games like this, blowouts. So, Kings fall in embarrassing fashion. They're now back to 2 games over 500. They play Monday in Indiana against the Pacers. And hopefully they come back and they look better than they did in this game. So, just some other scores around the NBA. You had the Dallas Mavericks. They beat the Chicago Bulls by 1. The Pacers, they lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder. You got the Boston Celtics. They beat San Antonio. And that Celtics team, that team is rolling right now as they head towards the playoffs. In the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, you got the Brooklyn Nets taking on. They beat the Wizards by 3. And you got the Memphis Grizzlies, who just fired their head coach with 9 games remaining. And Taylor Jenkins, they lose their first game with their new interim head coach. They lose to the Lakers tonight. And the Miami Heat, they beat the Philadelphia 76ers. But tough game for the Sacramento Kings in this game, as they open up the 6-game road trip with a blowout loss to the Orlando Magic. They're en route, I believe, as we speak, to Indianapolis to take on the Pacers Monday, and we will be back for another post-game recap following that game Monday night, right here on our Kings-related podcast. But thanks for tuning in to this episode of our Kings-related podcast and our YouTube channel and our Twitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below in the YouTube comments. Plus, if you're watching on Twitch, please hit that follow button as well. If you're listening on your preferred audio platform, please hit that follow button. Hit the rate 5 stars. Leave a nice little review. Be much appreciated. And we'll see you Monday night following Kings Pacers right back here on Kings Related. See you then, and as always, go Kings.